What's up guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Sam and today's video is going to be a recent reads video. So I did not do a wrap up in November. So I'm gonna lump my November reads and my December reads together, but I'm doing this in two parts because nobody wants to be here all day, and to be quite honest, I do not want to edit like an hour-long video. So what I'm gonna do is have all of my contemporary romance reads, just romance reads in general, thrillers in this video, and then the next video that you see from me will be all of my fantasy romance reads because I read a lot of fantasy in November and December and I'm excited to talk about them with you. So we're just gonna get into it. Got quite a bit of books to catch you up on. The first one that I have is Watch Your Mouth by Candy Steiner. This is book 2 in her Kings of the Ice series. We are following Jackson and Grace. This is hockey romance, brother's best friend. Yes, brother's best friend. There's a lot of forced proximity in here because they are going on a road trip. So Grace and Jackson, they've kind of been attracted to each other for a while, but neither one of them have ever wanted to act on it. Jackson, because he doesn't want to mess up his relationship with her brother, who is the hero from book 1, Vince. Yes, he doesn't want their relationship to, anything to happen. And then Grace, because, well, there's a little bit of an age gap, and also she has been dating someone. At the beginning of this book, her and her boyfriend break up. It's been a pretty bad breakup. She's just not doing good. So they end up going on a road trip together and keeping their relationship secret. I ended up giving this one 3 stars. I think I liked it maybe a little bit more than the first book, but I don't know. Candy Steiner's newest releases just really have not been hitting very well for me anymore. When I initially read this, I listened to the audiobook and the audiobook is great, but I don't really remember a whole lot about this book, and the spicy scenes feel like they're being written for a certain audience, and it's just not what I want to read anymore, to be honest with you. Am I excited for book 3 in this series? And am I going to read it? Yes, because it's single dad and nanny, I believe. And I just love that trope, so I'm going to give it another shot. We're going to see. I'm not completely giving up on Candy Steiner, but yeah, this one was a bit of a letdown. So the next book that I read is Forever Your Rogue by Erin Langston. I have seen so many good reviews about this book. Pretty much anyone who I have seen that has read and reviewed this book, they've absolutely loved it. This has been pretty high on my TBR for quite a while, and I am so glad that I read this book. I ended up giving it 4.5 stars. So we are following Cora and Nate. In the beginning of this book, Cora, her husband, dies. She is left a widow and a single mom to 2 very small children. In her late husband's will, he actually left guardianship to people in his family that they are awful, and they are holding this over Cora's head. They want her to fit their mold, be a certain way, or they will threaten to take the kids away from her. They want the kids to be in line, never act out, just be these perfect little almost adults, and that's not kids, and that's not the way that Cora wants to raise her children. So she enlists the help of Nate, who is her best friend's older brother, and he owes her a favor. Now, Nate is kind of a notorious rake. He is a rogue. He has been known to not take life too seriously, never want to settle down, have responsibilities, and he definitely leans into the rumors and plays into that character. But when he goes and lives with Cora and her 2 children, the side of Nate that we see come out is completely different from everything that you have been told about him. The way that he loves and cares for these children, I was a puddle. He is one of the best heroes that I have read in quite a while. This book is just so sweet, so tender, so romantic, and please read it. If you have not read it, read it. It definitely lives up to the hype. It is more of I would say a very character-driven story. There's not a whole lot of exciting things that happen in here. It's just a very sweet and kind of quiet romance. Then the next book that I read is Dom by S.J. Tilley. You guys, this book has been everywhere. Everyone is raving about this book. I decided I want to hop on that, hype train. I should have left it behind. I should have stayed at the train station because 2 stars. 2 stars. The hero and the heroine meet in an airport, and within the first probably 5 minutes of them meeting, the hero gives her 2 nicknames. Two. I'm already like, what, 2-3% in, and I'm already rolling my eyes. This is probably not going to go good. But I'm like, everyone is loving this, so it's got to get better, right? It has to get better. It didn't. It did not. 2 stars. I don't want to harp on it too much because everybody loves it. There's going to be another one in this video that's very hyped that also did not work for me, but we'll get to that one later. Another book that didn't work for me. King of Greed by Anna Huang. This is book 3 in the Kings of Sin series. This is a marriage in trouble romance following, who is this following? Dominic and Alessandra. So Dominic and Alessandra met in college. They fell head over heels for one another. I believe they've been married now for 10 years. And Dom, he's married to his work, and he has left Alessandra to the wayside. She has dinner by herself every night. Most of the time she goes to bed by herself every night. They just don't have the relationship that she knows that they can have, and she's fed up with it. Dom misses their, like, a big anniversary trip, and that's the last straw for her. She serves him divorce papers, and Dom is smacked in the face. He had no idea that things were that bad in his marriage. So he spends this whole book trying to win her back, and she makes him work for it. So this one I ended up giving 3 stars because I felt like, and this is weird coming from me, but this book definitely needed more flashbacks. I wanted more relationship development when they were younger, when they first met. I needed to believe that these 2 people actually needed to be together. Did I like the tension and the groveling and the angst in the present day? Yes. But I didn't feel like, there was really no, like, how do I explain it? I didn't feel like these 2, because we didn't get sort of their backstory, a lot of it, and a lot of, what made them such a good couple and what made them fall in love with each other. It was like, I don't really care if you're divorced. Like, I need to care. I need to feel that. I need to know how good of a couple you all were in order to care about the couple that you should be and that you can get back to in the present. And the next book that I read is The Graham Effect by Elle Kennedy. This is the spin-off to her Off-Campus series. This one is following Gigi, who is Garrett Graham and Hannah's daughter. I was so hyped when I found out that this was coming out. I picked it up, got the audiobook, and gave it 3 stars. So, like I said, we were following Gigi and Luke Ryder, who they call Ryder. So, Gigi and Ryder meet when Ryder's college is closing down and their hockey team is being absorbed by one of their biggest rivals, probably their biggest rival, Briar University, where Gigi attends, and she is a female hockey player. And let me tell you, Gigi and Ryder do not get off on the right foot, and Ryder and his teammates and the Briar U hockey team, they do not get off on the right foot. They don't mesh well together. At practice one day, Ryder learns about an opportunity to go and volunteer with Garrett Graham, and he wants it. He wants it so bad, but he knows he's probably not going to get it without the help of Gigi. So these 2 see each other at practice one day. They start chatting. Gigi really needs a favor from Ryder, and Ryder, again, wants to get in with Garrett Graham, Gigi's dad. So they make an arrangement. I'll help you, you help me. And their relationship goes from there. The first probably, I don't even know, 30, 40%, maybe even up to the 50% mark. This was so slow. That was my biggest issue with this book, was the pacing. Holy cow. It took me forever to get into this book. When things were finally getting good, they kind of slowed down a little bit again. And then the very end, I feel like all the drama, everything that was happening was super rushed. So Did I like the characters? Yeah, I liked their romance, but the pacing really suffered in here for me, and I think this book was far too long. Like, this did not at all need to be this long. The story could have been told in like 300 pages, and it would have been good. And honestly, I kind of missed the very giddy and just like, I don't know, warm fuzzies that the Off-Campus series gave me. Not that, like, I don't want to compare the two because Elle Kennedy, she's a different writer. This is a new series. These are new characters. But there was just something so good about the Off-Campus series. And I mean, that's why it was written years ago and it's still popular today. People are still reading them today. That's how good they are. I don't really get that with this one. So then I have a thriller. So I read The Inmate by Frida McFadden. This is the second book that I've read by her. I thoroughly enjoyed my time while reading this book. I gave it 4 stars. So we are following Brooke, who is a fairly new nurse practitioner. She, at the beginning of this book, has moved back to her hometown. She's looking for a job, but the only job that she can find is at the local prison. She doesn't really want to take it, but she's got a son that she has to support some way. She takes the job, and there she runs into someone from her past named Shane. So this one is told in past and present. So present day, obviously, you're getting her seeing Shane again for the first time in, I want to say 5-7 years. And then in the past, you're getting what happened, how her and Shane met, and kind of what has led them, what has put Shane into prison, and why these two lost contact. I had a ton of fun reading this book. I did not see any of the twists and turns coming, and then the very ending of this book, my jaw dropped. I thought this was so much fun. And then I read another hockey romance, that is He's Not My Type by Megan Quinn. This is her newest release. This is book number 4 in her Vancouver Agitators series. And in this book, we get Halsey Holmes's story, which we have been waiting for his story since book 1, okay? Book 1, you guys. We finally get it, and his heroine is Blakely. Now, Blakely works for the hockey team. She is something to do with marketing, and Halsey, he's been pining over her for years, but Blakely has always been in a relationship, so he couldn't make a move. Well, beginning of this book, Blakely finds herself newly single and without a place to stay. So Halsey's teammates, they're like, you know what, we're going to take matters into our own hands, because for some reason, anytime Halsey is around Blakely, he just clams up. Like, he doesn't know what to do, what to say. He's just very awkward, and it's kind of funny and endearing, honestly. But his teammates are like, you know what, Blakely, you need a place to stay. Halsey just happens to have an extra room, and you know what, he really needs somebody to take care of his plant while we're traveling all the time for games. Why don't you move in? So she does, and she kind of friend zones him at first. She doesn't really want things to get awkward because she does need a place to stay, and if things go bad, like, he's gonna kick me out. So I ended up giving this book 4 stars. Honestly, I'm probably leaning more towards like a 4.5. I really loved Halsey and his story, and Blakely and how she just fell for him, you know, after putting him in the friend zone, and then him showing like, hey, I can be more to you than a friend. The way that he wants to take care of her, and the way that she wants to be there for him, because Halsey, he doesn't have anyone in his corner really, or he thinks that he doesn't. He thinks he has to handle everything on his own, but Blakely shows up for him, and his teammates and his friends really show up for him in this book. The ending had me in tears, and that's never happened in a Megan Quinn book before. Honestly, was not expecting it, so I really, really enjoyed this one. And the next book that I read is Midnight is the Darkest Hour by Ashley Winstead. This is the 3rd and final book that I am reading by this author. None of them have worked for me. I think I've given all of them 2 or 3 stars. I ended up giving this one 2 stars. The premise of this sounded so interesting to me because there's a tagline in here that, okay, Where the Crawdads Sing meets Twilight meets Thelma and Louise. I like all of those things. Well, I haven't read Where the Crawdad Sings, but Twilight and Thelma and Louise, yes please. So this, I don't know, it just sounded super interesting to me, but I think the execution of it didn't work for me. So this book is told in past and present timelines. So we open up the book. Ruth is, I think she's 17. She is from a very small town, and she's raised in a very religious, very strict household. She's very sheltered. She really doesn't have any knowledge of like the outside world, like pop culture, nothing like that. Her father basically runs the town because he runs the church. It's very weird, okay? And she is at the library one day and she finds a copy of Twilight, and she starts obsessing with Twilight. She meets a boy named Everett. Everett's the town outcast, him and his father both. They're very weird, strange, they do strange things. And then there is a murder that happens and kind of sends the town in like a tailspin. They don't really know what to do. Everyone's freaking out. Then we get the present day perspective where another murder has happened and things start coming up from Ruth and Everett's past. This book, the reason it did not work for me, the pacing, it took forever for anything to happen in this book. It took so long. And then when things were getting good, the book ends. It ends. And it ends in probably the dumbest way. Why did it end that way? I don't know. But yeah, 2 stars. Probably I'm never going to read an Ashley Winstead book again. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people like her, but her books just haven't worked for me. I've given her a fair shot, and I'm done. So now we're going to talk about the other very popular romance book that did not work for me. Butcher and Blackbird by Bryn Weaver. I need to be nice with this book because I know this isn't a lot of people's favorites. A lot of people really love this book. It's getting all the hype right now, but it just really missed the mark for me. So this book is pitched as being a dark rom-com, and I really wish it would have stuck in one of those lanes. I think the mesh of the two was just really weird for me. So our hero and heroine are serial killers who kill serial killers. They meet one day, they have like this instant connection because of what they do, and obviously they're just really attracted to each other, and they strike up this sort of competition where we're gonna meet at different times to see who can kill these people first. And that's where things went a little wrong for me because there are a lot of time jumps in here, and a lot of the relationship building is done off page during these like periods of time where they're not seeing each other, they're not together, over the phone. Like they're having these conversations and falling in love with each other, but we're not privy to that. So throughout this book, I felt nothing for these characters. Nothing at all. It felt very lust driven for me, and it didn't work for me. I ended up giving this one 2 stars. So the next book that I read is The Notorious Lord Knightley by Lorraine Heath. It's been quite a while since I have read a Lorraine Heath book, and I really wish that I liked this one more than I did. I gave it a 3.5, but kind of the more I think about it, it's probably a 3-star read. So we are following Regina and Knightley. Now, Regina and Knightley were engaged to be married, and on their wedding day, Knightley, he tells her basically that their whole relationship has been a jerk, and he dips out. So then the book flashes to 5 years later when Regina is publishing a very scandalous book about a villainous Lord K. The public is absolutely eating up these books. The women love it, they want more, but everyone is speculating about who this Lord K could be. They think, is it Lord Knightley? Is it? I don't know. And they're wondering who the heck is writing this? Is it a man? Is it a woman? They don't know. And so there's a lot of speculation going on. And so in order to alleviate these rumors happening, the speculation that Lord Knightley is Lord K, these two pretend to reconcile. They pretend to forgive each other. And so the relationship just kind of goes from there. We do eventually find out why Lord Knightley left Regina the way he did and why he never tried to reconcile with her. But where this book kind of took a turn for me was the secrets and the way that things were revealed. I feel like we could have got these reveals way sooner than they were. And then there is something in here that I don't want to spoil, but Regina is hiding something from Lord Knightley, but he knows all along, and I just didn't like the way that was just glossed over. Didn't like the way it was handled. So yeah, I think probably I'm going to land on a 3-star for this one. So the last book that I'm going to talk about is P.S. You're Intolerable by Julia Wolf. This was a recommendation from Cheyenne from That Tall Book Girl. She sent me a screenshot of it one day and was like, you got to read this. So I did. And I ended up really enjoying it. I gave it 4 stars. So we are following Elliot and Catherine. At the beginning of the book, Catherine is living with her best friend, who she is pregnant by, and they are flipping a house. They're trying to fix it up to then sell it for a profit. Money is sort of running low, so she knows that she needs to go and get a job. And that is where Elliot comes in, because she is interviewing to be his assistant. Elliot is very stoic, does not show a lot of emotion. He barely pays attention to Catherine, like, at all. He likes things done a certain way. He's just very hard to work for. But Catherine, she's like, I have to have this job. I need this job. When things kind of take a turn in her and her best friend's relationship, he runs off. She finds herself in a very, very sticky situation. And at this point, she's ready to give birth. That's when Elliot really starts to kind of take notice of her, and he, like, the ice around his heart is just like, she's chipping away at it. She's chipping away. And when she ends up having the baby and her situation is just very dire, Elliot goes over to her house and sees the conditions that she's living in. He's like, absolutely not. You and the baby, you're coming to live with me. And I mean, he steps right in. He really steps right in. He, like, leaves her notes, leaves her coffee in the fridge. They have dinner together every night. He starts falling in love with her daughter and falling in love with Catherine. Oh, I loved it. I loved it. It was so sweet. He, so swoony, did all the right things, said the right things, and Catherine, she just chipped away at his heart, and I adored it. I loved their little family. So yeah, this one, if you need, like, boss, employee, grumpy, sunshine, forced proximity, check this one out. So that is all for today's video. Don't forget, fantasy romance review wrap up. That's coming next. Thank you so much for watching. If you've made it to this point in the video and you'd like to let me know, leave me a black heart. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.